July 4th, 1919. World War I has been over less than 8 months, and the country this day will celebrate its 143rd anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence with picnics and parades. Nevertheless, throughout the country, millions will be waiting to receive the news from Toledo, Ohio, of the long-awaited heavyweight fight between champion Jess Willard, who 4 years earlier knocked out Jack Johnson, and the 24-year-old roughneck challenger from Manassas, Colorado, Jack Dempsey, the Manassas Mauler. Prize fighting was illegal in most states, but famed fight promoter Tex Rickard gambled that the popularity of the sport with the common citizen and returning soldiers would outweigh the protest of reformers who were trying to outlaw boxing altogether.
There is no doubt that Tex Rickard has put together one of the great fights of all time in one respect. He has got a challenger there who is a tiger-eating fighter. Dempsey had taken care of the two challengers ahead of him in 25 and 38 seconds, both in the first round, earning his right to face Willard. And still the promoter of the fight, Tex Rickard, feared for Dempsey. Willard had already killed a man. He actually went into Willard's room and told him, "Be careful, don't hurt him."
Tex Rickard had a special 97,000-seat wood stadium built, and on the morning of the fight, spectators arrived early. In the protocol of the day, the heavyweight championship belt is displayed, and both Willard and Dempsey calmly pose for photographers. Willard is more than 5 inches taller than Dempsey and almost 60 pounds heavier. Even more, Willard has never been knocked down in his 8-year career. The temperature in the ring is a brutal 110 degrees. Both fighters predict knockouts, but unknown to Willard, Dempsey's manager, Doc Kearns, has a major financial reason to end the fight early. Kearns bet $10,000 at 10-to-1 odds that Dempsey would knock out Willard in the first round. In the opening seconds, Dempsey stalks his opponent.
Dempsey came out and he fought from a crouch, almost a panther-like crouch. And after about a minute, he sprung up with the left hand and caught Willard on the jaw, caving in his jaw.
The crowd is amazed as Willard goes down for the first time in his career. Unlike today, the rules of boxing in 1919 did not require the fighter to go to a neutral corner.
The Dempsey-Jess Willard fight would have been stopped in the first round today. Jess Willard is knocked down repeatedly. He gets up and he's knocked down. It's grotesquely comic. This very tall man, he's like a giant. And Dempsey would crouch and go low, and he was sort of like a force of nature. Boxing was more of a gentleman's sport before Dempsey, and Dempsey had this sort of sensual approach where he basically wanted to kill his opponent and rush across the ring, and people had never seen anything quite like that before.
He went after Jess Willard right away, like a black panther on a huge elephant. He got right on him, and I don't think Willard hit Dempsey once. No, he just went after him, and he could kill that man.
The savagery that Dempsey displayed had never been seen in a boxing ring before. People couldn't believe it, and that sort of set him off for the Jack Dempsey, the Manassas Mauler. He was a killer.
As Willard tries to get up for the 7th time, the round ends, but no one realizes it. Dempsey rushes to his corner and leaves the ring, believing the fight is over. The euphoria for Dempsey lasts about 30 seconds. Though Willard appears helpless, the round ends before the referee can count him out. Dempsey's manager, Doc Kearns, screams for his fighter to get back in the ring.
It was all over. They had to call him back. And then he proceeded for 2 more rounds to beat the daylights out of him. It was just like whipping at a huge punching bag.
At the end of 3 rounds, Willard has suffered a broken jaw, 2 fractured ribs, and 5 missing teeth. His corner informs the referee that he's had enough. Jack Dempsey is heavyweight champion of the world.
Dempsey's triumph triggered in 1919, the first year after the close of World War I, a new era in sports. It was an era Paul Gallico called the Golden Age of sports. And the first man who was in the pantheon of greats was Jack Dempsey, Babe Ruth, Bill Tilden, Red Grange, and Bobby Jones. But the first, July 4th, 1919, Jack Dempsey.
6 months after knocking out Jess Willard, the Roaring Twenties were ushered in with several important events. On January 16, 1920, the 18th Amendment to the Constitution, prohibition, became law. The selling of liquor became illegal. That same day, the first assembly of the League of Nations convened in Paris. In March, Mary Pickford, the sweetheart of the screen, married Douglas Fairbanks. The 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote, and in November, Warren G. Harding was elected President of the United States. In the midst of these events, Dempsey put his title on the line only twice in the next 2 years, knocking out both his opponents. But the gates were small. The public was looking for another spectacle that would equal the Willard-Dempsey brawl. Ever the showman, promoter Tex Rickard decided on an international event, pitting Dempsey against the popular light heavyweight champion of the world, Georges Carpentier of France. Carpentier was a war hero. To create interest, the draft-dodging stories that would plague Dempsey throughout his career emerged.
Jack got a bad rap in World War I because he was declared ineligible for supporting his family. But he had a very sharp manager named Jack Kearns. So Kearns had him appear at a working site, and they had him with a sledgehammer in his hand and these working clothes on, except his patent leather shoes were showing underneath the pants. It made very bad press for Jack.
As he did in Toledo, Rickard built another stadium at Boyle's 30 acres in Jersey City, New Jersey. It was boxing's first $1 million gate. 20 camera crews were there to record the fight for posterity. This fight would also present a communications first, the first national radio broadcast. For the first 3 rounds, the fight is even. But in the 4th round, Dempsey, on the left, uses his weight and strength to take over. He again becomes the tiger that pulverized Willard. He sends Carpentier to the canvas, apparently for the count. But suddenly, at the count of 9, Carpentier leaps to his feet. 5 seconds later, Carpentier is down for good. Sitting in the stands, studying the fight, is a young boxer who had just won his match on the undercard. He is convinced he sees a flaw in Dempsey's style. The fighter's name, Gene Tunney.
The more he thought of it, the more convinced he became. But he found that one night when he studied Carpentier, he saw that Dempsey was really a pushover for a right cross, a normal right punch to the jaw. But Dempsey was hard to hit, and he was a man that used to put brine, beef brine, rub it into his face all the time and toughen his skin, so it was hard to lacerate his skin and draw the blood. He used to chew pine, so his jaw just became like iron. It was very hard to knock out Jack Dempsey, extremely hard to land a punch.
2 years after knocking out Carpentier, Dempsey would defend his title again, winning a 15-round decision over Tommy Gibbons. During those years of inactivity, Dempsey was seen in newsreels, trying to change the savage boxing image that the public had of him. He would delight audiences by playing with children, making public appearances, and hobnobbing with a Hollywood crowd who idolized him. At a charity event, Charlie Chaplin challenged him to a fight, yelling at Dempsey that he would knock him out and take the title away. The ever-obliging Dempsey amused audiences as famed actor Douglas Fairbanks refereed. With a come-from-behind victory, Charlie Chaplin had knocked out the heavyweight champion of the world. Dempsey had defended his title only 4 times in 4 years, and the public was clamoring for more. Promoter Tex Rickard decided on another international extravaganza, similar to the one with Georges Carpentier of France. He would pit Dempsey against the massive champion from Argentina, Louis Firpo, undefeated in 26 straight fights, 21 by knockout. 80,000 fans jammed New York's Polo Grounds on September 14, 1923. One of them was 13-year-old Nat Rossoff.
Firpo was a wild, swinging boxer. Dempsey was a fighter. He came in advancing, crouched, bobbing and weaving, ready to tear his opponent apart. His whole being, you'd see the expression on his face. If you could see his eyes, they were blazing. Couldn't wait to get to his opponent.
Dempsey knocks Firpo down early and often. After 7 knockdowns, Firpo retaliates. Living up to his nickname, the Wild Bull of the Pampas, he knocks Dempsey out of the ring.
He landed in the boxing writer's table just on the fringe of the ring, and I was sitting, 4 rows back in the ringside on the side that he came out. I saw the reporters who were sitting there pushing him in the back, helping him back in. Fans were just up on their toes and screaming, and it was a very, very exciting moment. And when he got back into the ring, everyone was on their feet. They figured that Dempsey was going to go back down again, but he didn't.
In the second round, Dempsey comes out as he did in the first. A left hook and a right send Firpo down again. After 3 minutes and 57 seconds of punishment and 9 knockdowns, Firpo is finally out for good. Jack Dempsey retains his title.
It was a Babe Ruth home run. It was a Red Grange 100-yard kickoff return. This was excitement. This wasn't safety first. This was safety last. And in the Roaring 20s, and it had become as such, excitement was the name of the game. And Dempsey was feeding it.
For the next 3 years, Dempsey did not step into the ring to defend his title. Rather, he appeared in motion pictures and stage productions and took time out to marry Hollywood actress Estelle Taylor. While Dempsey was capitalizing on his title without fighting, Gene Tunney was rising in the ranks, fighting 18 times without a loss. A 10-round championship bout between Dempsey and Tunney was scheduled for September 23, 1926, in Philadelphia. New York would have been promoter Tex Rickard's choice, but Dempsey's license in New York State was revoked when Rickard refused to match Dempsey against the superb black contender Harry Wills. Rickard thought Tunney was an easy opponent for Dempsey's first fight in over 3 years.
Everybody thought Dempsey would win, never realizing that one man was going down and the other fella was coming up. Tunney had all the characteristics to be a great fighter. He could box, he could take a punch. He knew boxing. He was a good student of boxing. And of course, I didn't think he could lick Dempsey because as good as I think Tunney may be, I don't think he can lick Dempsey.
From the beginning of the fight, it becomes evident that Tunney, on the right, has done his homework. His countless hours of watching films of Dempsey have prepared him for every lunge and rush of the champion.
We all expected to see Dempsey knock out Tunney. However, the fight didn't go that way. Tunney's superior boxing ability thwarted Dempsey's rushes.